right, my friend. Another week in the books, and it's as usual. It was.
No, it's still not easy. It looks like it's getting easier for you. You got a cocktail at least. I got a Dr. Pepper zero sugar, which by the way, I will die on the hill saying that this is the best diet soda created.
You know me. I'm not shot in diet situation. Diet Mountain Dew as my morning beverage. Basic.
Oof.
I figured out the reason why is because the second ingredient in Diet Mountain is orange juice. That's why I most like it in the morning.
There
Never
you
knew
go,
that.
man.
But anyways, man, I am just so worth it. This is water. Because I heard the word on the street is you got put in jail. So
Oh,
in solidarity, I am sipping on the water with a big old ice cube in there for you. Because I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to leave my boy hanging. There's no man left behind.
this is not your fault. It's not your fault that I am in the doghouse and had to start sober October 10 days early, okay?
The University of Florida's full.
It's sort of University of Florida's fault, I would say, but it's mainly my fault because I get into self-destructive patterns when I'm, out and about with my friends drinking and watching football. And I've learned this. I think I need some therapy, and I don't know.
Well, listen, man. I know we all get there, but I gotta say, like, I couldn't be happy that we're doing this every couple of weeks because even though it's a short period of time, it helps. And I just saw stats the other day and was shocked. Attorneys, of course, are still in the top 10 for all three categories for professions with the highest amount of alcoholism, professions with the highest amount of drug abuse, and professions with the highest suicide. Top 10 in all three. So look, this little bit for me definitely helps me have that little bit of time, you know, every couple of weeks where we're able to at least have a good time, commiserate, get some shit off our chest, work some shit out, and at least have a little fun and maybe a little bit of laugh. But, it ain't all, it's not all gonna be sunshine and rainbows. We know that. So I know when you get out
Sunshine,
there,
sunshine and rainbows, dude. It's always stormy. You got to be happy when there is sunshine
I
and
know.
rainbows,
But
man.
look, that is where I feel for you because, when I was the boys, let blew on a little steam and got yourself into some trouble. So, it is what it is.
Eh,
Every now and then you got to title it on and, howl at the moon a little bit. It's healthy, right?
I don't know how healthy it is, Ian. It's not good when you lose your whole pack of friends and you're left with one of your only other buddies and you take a cab and the cab goes in the wrong direction. You don't even realize it because you both fell asleep. Then you get a phone call from your wife and she's telling you she's tracking you on her phone and she's like, "Hey, you're in Delray Beach." And I'm like, "What?" At that point in time, I'd tell the cabbie, "Hey, turn around. You're taking us for a ride." Turned all the way around, got home like at 4 o'clock in the morning. I am still sleeping on the couch. That's the good stuff. That's the good place that I'm at right now.
You did the responsible thing. Other than using a ride sharing app with tracking, tell the guy where to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
It does. That's the one thing. Hard Rock Stadium makes it impossible to get an Uber or a
I
Lyft.
think it's at any large event like that. You sit there with the masses an hour at best to try and catch a Google or an Uber or Lyft, whatever it takes. But it's just,
In the rain, in the rain that's been raining every day in September. It's been crazy, man.
yeah, you better
Crazy.
have limo, car service. It's just that eating that bill was pretty massive. But hey, it got
It is
me
what it is.
thinking when I saw those stats. What, you know, other than this, what else is that he went? We spend so much time at the office, spend so much time with our clients. It strips us a little bit of our own ability to get away and have some of our own identity outside of work. So I got to ask you, man, other than obviously going with the boys to a football game, what else are you doing stress relief wise? Because I mean, you look better than me. You're slimmer than me. And I'm like, man, I got to get it together because I don't want to fall into those traps. Unfortunately, catch some of our colleagues.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you something right now. As you could tell, I am not wearing a suit today.
That's a good start.
I went to try to have some stress relief. I attempted to go play golf.
Okay.
All right. Went to go play golf in the morning. I'm in my golf attire right now, wearing some fresh Holderness and Borden gear, tight,
Yeah.
looking good.
Yeah.
And do you think that my phone stopped ringing? Nope. Nope. And do you think that I could avoid those calls? No, I can't. Even when you think that you're going to be able to get away and get a little bit of stress relief, this thing just keeps coming back, man. It's like The Godfather. Once every time you try to get out, it just rips you back in. So it's tough, man. Even it really does put a dampener on it. You have to find a time when you think that your phone or no one could really interfere with whatever it is that you're doing. So essentially, the only time that you could play golf then would be on the weekends. And even then, my phone is still going on. I do like to play tennis. Tennis is great because you can do tennis in an hour.
Oh.
You get, after doing tennis for about an hour, you're in that situation where you get your exercise and you're done. You're able to shower, then go to the office and do what you got to do and stay fit that manner. And speaking of tennis, there's somebody here on this podcast who's a lot better at tennis than I am, but doesn't play any longer. I mean, didn't you play in college?
I did, but there was a shoulder replacement surgery that may have been career ending. I'll say I took my girls over to the tennis court thing. I get them interested in, and you know how it is. 7-year-old and 4-year-old hurting cats on the tennis courts. So I snuck away for 2 seconds while they were picking up all the balls to see if I could hit a couple serves. My wife said, how was it? My shoulder was fine. I got no legs. I got no jump. I look like Tim Duncan back in the day. He used to try to dunk and he would only jump like an inch and a half off the ground, but good thing he was 7 foot and change, so he was good. Me, on the other hand, my 5'9 3/4, and he didn't cut it. So yeah, the arm was there, but the legs were not.
See, that's the thing I got. I could run for days, man.
Yeah.
But eventually my size just gets to me, man, in the sense that you got to be at least 6 feet tall to be a dominating tennis. You need to be able to have. Oh no.
The ATP Tour was not calling, bro. Not at this height.
And PGA Tour ain't calling me either, man, because let me tell you something. I suck at golf. Golf is hard as shit, man. Even when you think you get it, you go and you play the next day and it just humbles you, man.
But you know what? I will say this. Just being out there, I would say it's like golf and pizza are a lot like sex. Even when it's bad, it's still kind of good. Lord, you can't complain. At least out there, you had some fun. You got sweat. Hit a couple times, and you have one good shot in the round, keeps you coming back for more.
Yeah, I had to listen. Of course, there were spurts when I was having a good time, but sometimes you get blinded when you're getting all these phone calls and you're doing something that you really truly enjoy, that's cathartic, that you're able to get away with, not think about work, and then you just start thinking about work. And the minute you start thinking about work while you're playing golf, that's the worst golf you could ever play, man. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Usually I play bad golf. Luckily,
cussing about clients, men swing.
I mean, I could say people have heard me, rant towards my clients on the golf course before.
Have you ever thought about, we can't go to the stress relief, we can't get away from it. Have you ever thought about bringing the stress relief to the job place? I'm talking emotional support animal, maybe a service dog of some sort. Have you ever broached that topic?
Not a chance, bro. I don't believe in that, dude. That's complete bullshit, dude.
You think so?
Service, absolutely. Tell me every time that you get on a plane and you see somebody there with their dog, what do you think? You think that person is A, truly needs an emotional support dog, or B, they're just trying to find a way to bring their dog on the plane and to sit with them?
I don't know, because guess what? You're not allowed to ask. So ADA, you can't even ask what the disability is. You can't even dive into it. And the only reason I know this is because years ago I had an employee that had a service dog. And so I'm all for like whatever employees need to be able to do their job, be successful at their job, to lower their stress or whatever the disability issues that they're dealing with. You want to accommodate that, of course. But come to find out, when this all went down, I was like, never had it before. What do I do? So they got to follow the rules. So apparently, you're not even allowed to require the dog doesn't have to be trained, officially trained, professionally trained. The dog, you're not allowed to ask what obviously the person's disability. You're not allowed to ask for the dog to demonstrate what the service is that it does. And and again, you want to accommodate that person's needs, but in the same vein, it's like I have all these other employees at the office too. Then you run into some stuff where you don't want to obviously have that person's right to their service animal infringe upon the rights of the other folks in the office. And like, not very long into the process, I have an attorney come knocking on my door. They're like, yeah, you gotta come here. You gotta run. And I'm like, what is going on? No, just come with me. Just come with me. And I follow. Unfortunately, the service dog, I guess, went roaming around the halls, defecated massively in front of this other attorney's office. And I'm like, Harriet, I don't know what to do with this. Didn't teach this in law school. There was no courts on this.
You're telling me you're telling me you didn't have like pooper scooper gloves inside of the office once you've had an employee?
No, and then again, worried about obviously you don't want it to affect the other employees, but you don't want to infringe on that person's right to have a service dog. I was getting some reports that the dog was growling at people, and I'm like, is there a one bite rule at the office? Is
So
work
crazy.
out covering? So I don't want to joke about it, but in the same sense, it's you've got to do your best to navigate those situations, and it certainly wasn't an easy one.
Do you think people take advantage of that? The whole service dog situation?
I think that it certainly is a concern because not only are you allowed to have service dogs, this is my other issue. You're allowed to have a service mini horse.
What?
Yep. So I'm like, what is showing up next? If someone walks in here with a little mini horse, I don't even know what to do. Is this going to start a whole trend? What other animals are allowed to be service animals? I didn't know. And I'm like, I don't know where this ends up. Could I be in the lunchroom and the animals are just throwing down? There's just fur and feathers flying everywhere. How far has it come? I have no idea. So yeah, it's certainly a concern, but how do you verify or validate what is going on without crossing or breaking any rules? I think I looked it up. There's not a single state in the United States that requires the dogs to be registered as a service.
Let me ask you this. When this person, like interviewed for the job, did they show up with a dog?
No, this was they had worked there for a long time, and that I guess they had an issue that developed or whatever the case may be, and then they got the dog.
And they were a lawyer, right? You're saying they're a lawyer.
Not that
And they got a dog.
it was not a lawyer, an employee, but they showed up with the dog, and there was no discussion about it. It was like, deal with it, and I'm like, okay. So then I'm like,
Yeah.
what is it that I'm even allowed to ask about? And I was like, starting from square one. I'm like, 'cause everyone's like, what is this? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, over here trying to Google and figure out what can I ask? What information do they need to provide me? What, as an employer, what information am I obligated to get to, again, protect and not have this infringe on the other employees' rights and get complaints from them too? You know what I mean?
But let me ask you, what if you're deathly scared of dogs? Like I got a client right now who's deathly scared of dogs.
Yeah.
What do you do? If you got an employee who's deathly scared of dogs, and then you got somebody bring in their dog who's just walking around, pooping on things, and then she's going to be scaring one of your employees. I mean, that's just mayhem. And you can't talk about it? You just got to shut up and take it?
It seems as though the key word being to accommodate, to pick a reasonable accommodation. When it comes to disability, I'm sure when it comes to the other employee, if they have a fear, and then like you said, are they allowed to have a service animal to deal with their potential PTSD situation because of the dog that's created? Yeah. So there's definitely a concern of the potential snowball effect and or the slippery slope, if you will, of where that ends up. But that's the ADA. You gotta follow what they say. And I don't know whether there are people that are taking advantage of it. I hope that would be, for people that really do need it. I know that I think it's pretty well documented where they have the dogs that are trained to recognize issues, like epilepsy, warn about potential seizure and things like that. But then there's also the balance between the service animal for the disability, which could be anywhere, like I said, from epilepsy, PTSD, whatever. I think they can be trained to give reminders of like when to take their medication. And then there is the difference between that and the emotional support, which is also totally different situation. So we got some minefields to navigate when it comes to that stuff. That
Legally, yeah. I'm going to choose not to navigate that. You know what? Because I am trying to de-stress now, Ian. Right?
But I can see
that's where I go.
Maybe you get a little lap dog, just carry it around, and it calms you down, man. Maybe that would help.
Ain't gonna calm me down, man. I'm telling you, I'm at the point where I just shut off. It's like I just start grunting. I walk around, and people, hey, Moncy, like, I don't say nothing. All right,
but
ignore.
But where does that
end up? I just pretend it didn't happen.
Where does that end up, though? You can't bottle it up inside, You're going to end up as, I want to be one of those statistics, my man.
I am a Coca-Cola bottle with a Mentos inside and the cap shut.
My God.
That is where I live right now. Hey, Mons, how you doing? I'm fine. Oh, how was your day today? Oh, it's great. Just got threatened about like 18 million times, either it be my client or defense counsel or the judge on a CMC order, Yeah, sorry, judge. You'll get taken care of before trial, I promise.
That's why, they got it. When I saw those fads, I was wondering, so what is our profession to help out? What is our governing body? The bar, the Florida bar. I'm not talking about the bar where people are drinking. The Florida bar, like what are they doing? Tell about
nothing. Making it worse. They tell you that they care, but they don't care. Yeah. They just made your job a million times harder.
They just send you the dues. There's dues. You have money.
Hey, be happy. We haven't raised them in 10 years. They're still the same amount, $265. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Doing else is solid. But I mean, I still have a hotline. In all seriousness, I guess if I count who's on there, it's for anonymous.
All right, bro. You think you're gonna call them? You're gonna call the Florida bar? I feel like that's a hotline of incrimination. All right, you call it.
They're tracing it.
Yeah, they're like, hi, we need your Florida bar number. Oh, yeah, 11494. This call's being recorded.
Do you think it's the same? Is the ethics hotline people who never answer the questions? Because they got the ethics hotline, and you call it if you got an ethical question. You're like, hey, I got a question. You're like, and let me point you in the direction of some rules. And I'm like, no, I need an answer. They're probably the same parents. They just got a therapy certificate. They're doing ethics questions and therapy all at the same time.
What do you think they ask those guys in their job interview? Listen, can you answer a phone and just completely deflect every question that's being asked for you by a lawyer?
You will not.
I can do that. Hired.
You will not answer anything.
Hired.
Your strategy is ask them 10 questions in response to their one question. Make them feel like crap in the hopes that they hang up the phone and never fall in.
Yeah. I used to call that the call of shame.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The call of shame.
Like, I was trying to avoid doing something wrong. Apparently I found out I did 10 other things wrong that I didn't even know about. You know?
Just living in this world of landmines.
You know?
You know what I mean? It's just like making sure you don't get your legs blown off, man.
Exactly. But, in the same sense, I'm sitting there wondering why there is, I mean, we handle important, which is part of the reason why we got so much stress. Because we're handling things that are important for people, for our clients. And there was no psychological eval or exam that I had to do to get you the Florida bar or the Texas bar for that matter to get into law school. No psyche, no theaters. No one even laid eyes on me. And then once you're in, there certainly isn't a follow-up process to make sure that you're doing okay. You're not having like a mental breakdown. There was nothing, no fail safes whatsoever in that process, which is shocking. You know what I mean?
No, it is shocking. And honestly, and not only do you have to do your job, which is be a lawyer, not only do you have to research, write, talk to opposing counsel, go to court, take depositions, go to mediations, hold your client's hand, you have to do it on 40 to 80 to hundreds of different files all at the same time. You're essentially set up to solve everybody else's problems but your own. And over the past, since COVID, really, the Supreme Court, and I don't say that in a disparaging way at all, has made our job even harder. And there probably needed to be things that needed to be changed, but it was severe overcorrection. And it's to the point now where it makes it very hard to have a good work-life balance. Like, let me ask you something. When's the last time you were able to take a 2-week vacation? 2 weeks, just off.
In all honesty, I cannot remember because usually my vacation setup is like go, but I've got remote access things whether that's by phone, Zoom, whatever. Just because, hey, getting 2 weeks free, completely freed up in your schedule is all but impossible. B, then you're at the mercy of the course. The orders that are in place now, the overall structure that these months, and you're dealing with obviously trying to skip another human being on the other side, and they're busy as well. So you got to take,
And they have a life,
yeah.
and they need to have vacations too.
So you got to take those dates and coordinate that stuff when and where you can get it. And sometimes that'd be unfortunate doing those things while you're not.
Well,
You got no
forget
choice.
2 weeks. How about 1 week? Because I'll tell you something. I'm going to answer the question for you. I haven't. I've been a lawyer now for over 20 years. I have never taken a vacation longer than a week
Yeah.
because I can't. And the bar will say, yeah, you can. It's all about like you and your management of your time or maybe having other people. No, man, you can't. I don't care what you say. The stresses that have been put upon us and the things that need to be done in this job to do it correctly, to be there for your clients, makes it almost impossible. All right? And they could sing Kumbaya like we care about you. They don't. Because it's only gotten harder.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get harder. Because that's the direction we're moving in.
I think with the steps that they've taken, none of it, like you said, has been directed towards any component, making sure that mental health is a priority, and checking to make sure that there is like, cooperation or it's not even just civility amongst attorneys. I feel like that's just getting worse too. And then you gotta wonder, like, I'll get off the phone with attorneys, unfortunately, where I'm like, what was wrong with that human being? I don't even know. I'm a pretty nice guy to deal with for the most part. I'm always gonna, lead with a smile. And people are just angry. And how long away from you like, what, something wrong with that person? Do they need help or Jesus or something? And who's regulating? Who's watching it? Who's checking these things? I guess it's my job. I got all the time in the world to report people to the bar when they're cussing me out on,
Dude, listen, there's a few things in life you never want to be. All right? You never want to be a snitch.
Yeah, exactly.
We have self-reporting duties, right? Oh, the Florida bar says we must report any attorney who does something that violates any code of ethics or anything that violates the Florida bar.
Yeah. But I mean, even if you wanted to, even if you're good with being the snitch, who has the time to sit there and write these things? Nobody. This thing is just causing more stress. You know, what? I guess they're playing to it like, oh, that's a huge job. You police that, you do that, and yeah, we'll be here when the time is needed. Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that. How about all these other attorneys that solicit business?
Yeah.
So when you have a client and you've signed them up, and this client's telling you, I'm getting all these phone calls from attorneys saying if they want to be represented.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being a young lawyer and being like, dude, I've had it. You know, we got to report this. Remember calling the bar, letting the bar know, look, my client, this is the phone number where the call came from.
Yep.
You know what they did? Nothing. Nothing.
Oh my God. So you put it there for them on a silver platter and they did nothing about it?
Sent them the phone number. I mean, I get it. Maybe they couldn't investigate it. I mean, God knows now that I get like 15 spam calls a day. You know what I mean?
Offshore. Like who they're going to go get?
Yeah.
And like whatever
I'm talking
foreign country.
I'm talking about 2013, man.
Yeah.
It's 2013. I gave them a 954 number with 7 digits right after it. I'm been like, this phone number called my client saying that they're a lawyer and that they want, you know, that they can make them $1 million.
Wow. And they did nothing.
We'll look into it. I never heard anything back.
Not even like an update or we tried to call or anything now. So
they don't care, dude.
Just additional stress. You're trying to keep your clients, you know, you're trying to operate in an ethical, appropriate way, keep your clients happy. And meanwhile, you got to worry about some guy who's out there violating the rules, either as a lawyer soliciting, which is huge and is massively illegal, or somebody who's pretending to be a lawyer, committing like unlicensed practice of law, and no one's doing anything about it while you're over here. And now you got to endure that stress of someone trying to steal or pay or God knows what to take your case. Right?
But it happens every day, Ian.
Yeah.
Every day. And there are bad actors. And the bar probably knows who those bad actors are. Not that they know. They don't know. Because I'm sure they would reprimand them. All right? I misspoke when I said that. But at the same time, I don't believe that they're doing enough to stop, whether they want to or not. But that just adds to the stress level that we have already.
Yeah.
Because on top of all the work and everything that we have to do for every single one of our clients and every single one of our files, we have to keep every single one of our clients happy.
Yeah. And it's not just on our side. When I was a defense lawyer, I remember seeing the guy that I worked for and watching his stress level because he had a great book of business with a great client or a few great clients. So I'm sure he's just sitting there wondering, you know, who's approaching my client today? Who's in their ear offering to do it for $20 less an hour? And if he loses that book of business, it's a massive effect on his overall, you know, livelihood, his financial life, the way he's got things set up. So he's just constantly enduring that stress.
And not only his livelihood, your livelihood. He pays you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's how that money trickles down. If he starts making less, who's the first person to go? I mean, it sucks. And then how do you find the perfect, you know, work-life balance? Does your wife, yeah, I mean, and I understand your wife's also an attorney. My wife is not.
Yeah.
I don't think she knows the stress that I undergo on a daily basis. Like the threatening text. I got a text from a client that I'm withdrawing on the case from, asking me why I haven't done anything on the case and if they should call the Florida bar on me. I'm like, go ahead, call them. I'm withdrawing because I showed you a video that clearly shows you tripped and fell on your own foot.
And he's mad at you?
Livid.
And he wants to call the bar and or report you to the bar for his, you know, what you've now learned is all but, I don't want to broad, you know, some serious comparative negligence.
serious competitor. Look, I'll say this. I don't think that the guy, you know, is doing it malicious. He's an older gentleman, you know.
Right.
He's a cute. He reminds me of my dad, you know, like an older Cuban guy.
Yeah.
Stubborn, proud, but at the same time can never admit any fault, even when you show it to them.
Yeah. But still,
And
don't deflect that on you. Don't come at you when you didn't do anything wrong, and here you gotta sit there and endure it.
buddy, listen, that's part of our job.
Yeah.
That's part of our job. I think it was episode 1, man. I could take an ass chewing. You know what I mean?
You know?
I think I could take an ass. Speaking of the person who has no idea of the stress that I'm undergoing.
I will say that is a major benefit of having a wife that is also a lawyer. She understands the stress and she's been there and she feels that. And, you know, there is that understanding amongst attorneys because she's dealing with it also.
At least you're not sleeping on the couch.
Not tonight, but, you know, who knows what next week will bring. But, you know, in the same sense, as you said, I think in the first episode, I could take an ass chew. But when you said that, it reminded me of an attorney that I worked with for a little bit who said to me, you know, I don't take ass chewing the way that I used to. The older you get, you're going to put it back. There's a little bit of like, when you're a young attorney, you just take, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah. Now it's like, wait a minute, what did you say? Excuse me, what? You know?
It depends. Sometimes, look, I can take an ass chewing if I kind of deserve it. You know, like if it could go either way and I kind of could deserve the ass chewing, I could take. But you're right. If I feel like I'm totally wrong and I think a client's being unreasonable, the ass chewing's going the other way real quick.
Yeah,
You know
I'm gonna give it as long as there's
real quick.
as long as there's no crosses and know what appropriate is. I'm gonna give it some latitude. But when we cross over that line of what I call unfair, because I want to say you're full of shit. I want to say that, you know, you're flat out wrong. I want to say you're lying, whatever the case may be. I just go to the usual dialogue is, well, this happened, this happened, this happened. So now for you to say that somehow that's my fault when you were the one that caused all of those things, I think that's unfair. Wouldn't you agree? And that's usually my best way. But hey, you know, usually they don't agree. They just move on to the next point of contention. But yeah, I mean, I get these cases are important to people. They want the best result, and they deserve great representation. But in the same sense, we are human beings also, and we deserve some level of fairness as well. Like we had a guy that we signed up today. He called in, we're signing him up, and before he even signed the contract, he said, I just want to let you know, if I'm unsatisfied with your work, I'll draft you. But the queen hasn't signed yet. Like, you're already issuing the warnings. And I'm like, is this a good move? Maybe we don't. Maybe we just part as friends and don't go down this road, you know?
I think that's a sign, buddy.
Well, Vincent, man, as always, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully next week's a little bit better for you, bro. Hopefully you get off that couch.
Won't be.
Hopefully you get off that Dr. Pepper or the Diet Dr. Pepper.
Oh, no, never, man. That ain't happening. When I set something, I do it no matter what.
I know, man. Never doubted you for a moment. But look, stay with it. It's going to be all right. Stock up on that Dr. Pepper. You're going to do it. You're going to be good. I'll see you next time, brother. Take care. Have a good weekend.
You're the man, brother.
Later.